Hi there. Here's a quick little video overview of the Beaker costume that I'd made. Um, the first thing that I did was to figure out the overall height. I basically made sure that the top of the mouth uh, lined up was basically above the eyes, just so that when the mouth was open, I could see really well. The eyes themselves are just styrofoam balls with the very ends cut off to make them a little flatter and easier to glue on the back. The nose I have here is one side of a red earmuff. The hair is a scarf from Michael's, or like a long bit of some sort of garland, I guess. It's not quite as good as the hair on the actual Muppets, but it did in a pinch. I had a hard time finding a red wig. The pupils are just felt glued onto the edge. Inside of the mouth is just felt glued on as well. So for how the actual head was put together, I got a roll of foam from Michael's. I wanted foam. Bristol board would work as well, but I wanted something a little more flexible. I took that roll of foam. It's the exact height of the head. I rolled it into a ball. I glued it up a seam on the back, and then what I did was from Michael's. I basically bought a big sheet of cheap fleece material in this, fortunately, close to Muppet color, and then I basically just wrapped the head because I'm not really much. I'm not very good with fabric. I just kind of roughly hot glued it all in along and made sure that the seam was up the back where it would be, pretty minimal. And as you can see up there, it's not a very clean seam, but it didn't really matter a whole lot. Anyway, so I wrapped all that up. I have a pie plate jammed and glued in there, basically just to help keep the round shape of this tube of foam. It probably would have kept on its own, but just to sturdy it up at the top. Above that pie plate is just empty, and then on the top, if we kind of look in, I had just basically bunched the fabric up over the top of the foam and then wrapped the hair around it and glued it until it stayed. So for the mouth, I basically just put I did the mouth before I wrapped it in fabric, cut out and figured out where I wanted the hole to be for that. And you can see where the fabric's kind of separate there from the mouth. I just basically cut a hole right in it and glued that fabric here. I added an extra bit of foam to the mouth just to make it a bit more sturdy. One thing that was kind of important to me was for the neck of it. I wanted it to be like Beaker was wearing a shirt. A lot of the costumes I saw online, the head just kind of floated over as a person's dress shirt. So I made a false shirt. I just used a cheap clip-on tie that I bought at Value Village and wrapped pieces of foam around here from the back. As you can see, there's kind of a seam right there in the back. I bought the sheets of foam. I shaped them to look like a collar, and then I just glued that together. Oh, I've accidentally switched to doing vertical video. Whoops. Anyway, you'll have to forgive me. So yeah, so doing that, the nice thing was I could just get a blue shirt that matched this as close as possible, and I could sit that over top, and it actually looked like a dress shirt with an oversized neck. For the hands, I basically, again, because I'm not very good with sewing, I basically just traced my palm with lots of room to spare. And as you can see, it's pretty rough stitching. I just cut out 4 pieces. Stitched around it, and then I flipped them inside out so that they'd have a slightly cleaner seam. And for the coat, I just have a lab coat. This one was a borrowed one, but I mean, you could use like a painter's smock, or look for a doctor's costume. Maybe you basically just need an oversized white overcoat or lab coat. And that's the basics of the Beaker costume. Anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. Bye bye.